Chicago home sales were down 15% year over year, yet experts say we're just stabilizing. We're going to talk about 2022 and expectations for the 2023 housing market. Oh, what a difference a year makes. The numbers are in from last year, and boy, are they revealing. Before we dive in, if you're a new follower, please subscribe. You're helping me out. You're helping the channel out. We really appreciate you and everything you do. And don't forget to like this video. Okay, getting to the data, let's start with sale prices. According to data from the Illinois Association of Realtors, house prices were about flat year over year in Chicago, hovering at $334,000. The exception to that would be December, when housing prices fell over 8% compared to December in the previous year. I'm not overly surprised when I hear that. If we look back at last year, we had a crazy amount of activity in the first 6 months. 70% of the closed homes in Chicago sold in the first 6 months of the year, which is exceptionally high compared to a normal year in this marketplace. So if we had a front-loaded year and the tail end of the year was much slower, it's not surprising to me that December stands out as an exceptionally low month in terms of sale volume. It also doesn't hurt that December is normally a month where we see seasonality kick in and prices naturally come down to account for the weather, the holidays, the fact that many people just aren't focused on buying a home. The association also reported that the number of homes sold in Chicago was down 15% year over year. And in that same December versus December time period, it was down over 41% from the previous year. So again, breaking into that, interest rates tell their own story when we look at last year. If you were buying in the beginning of the year, let's say up until about March, you still had low interest rates, low enough that they were close to 3, or at least closer to 3 than they are to 6 for those first few months. But then they started to rapidly increase. So December buyers 2021, they've got an interest rate of 3. Housing affordability is pretty high. Even though the number of sales is probably seasonally low, they're still being able to take advantage of those crazy low interest rates, historically speaking. December 2022, prices are still high as a reflection of the previous year, or the previous year leading into that point at least. Now we don't have interest rates there. Interest rates are hovering, I think, around 7 at that time. So it's a much different affordability index when you're looking at housing. So clearly the market has slowed down. I mean, the number of homes sold is down year over year. It's down in December heading into this year. Obviously, we're in a new month here, so we don't have the new data for January. But what does that all mean? And more importantly, how can you use it to your advantage headed into 2023? It's really too early to tell, in my opinion, if we're going to see any more major drastic price reductions coming to Chicagoland. That said, I can tell you from the first few weeks of January that activity has been hyperactive. We're already seeing multiple offer situations. We're already seeing more listings come on market. So I'm anticipating a busy spring. Now, obviously, that's a prediction. We're going to find out if that's true, but it seems like the activity is there to bear a busy spring. Separate of that, one thing that's painfully clear and has been painfully clear for several years in Chicago is we have an inventory crisis. And that's the word, crisis. It's beyond a problem at this point because we don't have a line of sight on recovery. Most neighborhoods in Chicago are sitting somewhere around 2 months inventory. Some are closer to 1 month's inventory. So when we think about the health of a marketplace, we like to use months inventory as a gauge for how healthy or how balanced a marketplace is. When we look at the month supply, we're talking about how many months would it take if we stopped listing homes today for everything that's on market right now to sell out, using the current buyer demand as our gauge for how fast things will sell. So looking at Chicago, that month's inventory being about 2 months is well below balance. We want to see 6 to 7 months inventory in a balanced market. Balanced meaning nobody has an advantage. Sellers aren't able to take advantage. Buyers aren't able to take advantage. It's a neutral market. Everybody's on the same playing field. When we see something this low, 1 to 2 months inventory, there's not enough for sale for prices to come down significantly. The reality is sellers have a rare commodity. So until that changes, until there are more options for buyers and they can start to put pressure on these sellers to reduce their prices, sellers can take advantage of the fact that, look, they got the only home on the block, so take it or leave it. Putting this all together, what are some expectations I think you should take away headed into 2023? Number one, as long as sellers continue to benefit from being a rare commodity, buyers are unlikely to see major price reductions in the near future. New home construction is slowed by the cost of goods and services. Sellers who are in their home and locked at a low interest rate or maybe refinanced into a low interest rate really don't have any financial incentive to move right now. there's not a line of sight on a recovery for inventory, either with new construction or for resale. So if we don't have more homes coming on market to any drastic degree, it's unlikely that we're going to see prices drop with any drastic degree. Number two, it's going to be a competitive market for buyers this spring. The end of 2022 was a wait and see period. People were unsure if rates were going to change a lot. People were unsure if the housing market was going to shift. Now we're coming into 2023, and the truth is neither really moved all that much. We're starting to see rates creep down a little bit, a sign of seasonality, a sign of slight improvement. We're continuing to see home prices sit flat, so there's really no drastic advantage to trying to time the market. And like I said, the first 2 weeks of the market have been really active. Multiple offer situations are back, and we're starting to see buyers get active on properties that are priced right. So I think this is going to be a busy season for buyers. And if you're planning to get involved, you need to get a strategy in place now. Start contacting your lender, start contacting a real estate agent to make sure that you're prepared for what's to come. Takeaway number 3, this is not the year to set a pricing ceiling if you're a seller. 2021, maybe early 2022, it was record-breaking sale, new ceiling, new highest ever. Look, that's over. That time has come and gone. The affordability isn't there. The buyer demand isn't there. That is a losing strategy for sellers. We saw that in the second half of last year. Activity slowed, and those that lost are the ones that did not adjust their pricing accordingly. So 2023 is going to be a year where you need to be hyper competitive with how you price your home. Appraisals are going to be tough. Appraisals coming out of the last 6 months, looking at the data we had in Chicagoland, wasn't super favorable for high-end sales. So you need to be watching, are you in alignment with the recent comps? Because you know who else is watching that beyond the appraiser? The buyers are. Buyers are hyper-focused on value right now, both as a result of their penny pinching. They literally cannot afford to buy more home right now, and economic uncertainty. They're unsure where that next dollar is going to go or come from. There's layoffs happening, even with some of the most well-known companies around the country. This is a time where buyers are focused on value, which means you need to be focused on value. So there you have it, a reflection on 2022, looking ahead at 2023. Tell me what I missed. Leave some comments below. Let's talk about what you think is going to happen in the marketplace. And hey, if you found this video useful, share it with somebody you know. Thanks for watching. Happy house hunting.